Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the salvage ship Second Chance, watching the twisted hulk of metal drift silently through the void. After 15 years of deep space salvage operations, she thought she'd seen every kind of wreck possible. This was different. "What do you make of it, Marcus?" she asked her chief engineer, who was scrutinizing the holographic readouts beside her. Marcus Reynolds scratched his graying beard, frowning at the data. "Never seen anything like it, Cap. The metal composition isn't in our database, and the energy readings, they're all wrong. This isn't one of ours." The wreck before them was roughly cylindrical, about the size of a small cruise ship, but with organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal frozen in space. Its hull bore deep gashes that revealed glimpses of an interior bathed in a soft, pulsing purple light. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Their sensors had picked up the faint biological signature hours ago. It was why they diverted from their regular salvage route in the first place. "Just one," Marcus confirmed. "Weak, but stable. Whatever's in there, it's hanging on." Sarah straightened her jumpsuit and made her decision. "Prep the boarding shuttle. Alert medical." "Cap," Marcus stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If this is what we think it is, this changes everything. One thing at a time, Marcus. Right now, there's someone who needs help." The boarding shuttle carried Sarah, Marcus, and Dr. Maya Patel through the vacuum. As they approached, the alien nature of the vessel became even more apparent. What they'd thought were battle scars in the hull were actually more like surgical incisions, precise, purposeful cuts that suggested this ship had been deliberately attacked. Their shuttle's magnetic clamps engaged with a dull thunk that reverberated through their suits. Dr. Patel checked her medical kit one final time while Marcus calibrated their cutting tools. "Remember," Sarah said as they prepared to exit the shuttle, "we're salvage operators first. This is just another rescue mission." Even as she said it, she knew this was anything but ordinary. The interior of the vessel defied conventional engineering logic. Corridors curved in impossible ways, and what looked like control interfaces pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Their suit lights revealed walls that seemed to absorb and redirect light itself. They followed the life sign reading deeper into the ship. The purple glow grew stronger, and with it came a low humming that they felt more than heard, resonating through their suits. They found the survivor in what appeared to be the ship's control center. Sarah's breath caught in her throat at the sight. The being was humanoid in its basic form, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, but that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was a shifting tapestry of iridescent scales in deep purple and blue, and what looked like crystalline formations protruded from its joints. It lay slumped against a pulsing console, clearly injured. As they approached, the alien's eyes opened, all 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern, revealing swirling pools of silver light. It made no aggressive moves, instead watching them with what Sarah could only interpret as a mixture of fear and hope. Dr. Patel moved forward slowly, medical scanner humming. "Multiple injuries, but the physiology. I've never seen anything like it. The crystalline structures seem to be part of its cardiovascular system." The alien raised one hand weakly, and to their amazement, the crystals on its body began to pulse in a rhythmic pattern. The humming in their suits changed pitch, forming what almost sounded like words. "It's trying to communicate," Marcus whispered. Sarah made a decision that would change the course of human history. She stepped forward and slowly removed her helmet, ignoring the protests from her crew. The air was breathable, according to their scanners, and something told her this moment required a more personal touch. The alien's eyes widened at the sight of her face. It tried to move and winced in pain. Sarah held up her empty hands in a universal gesture of peace. "We're here to help," she said softly. "You're safe now." The crystalline formations on the alien's body pulsed again, and this time, the humming coalesced into clear words, though no mouth moved. "Help, others, coming." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Others? The alien's silver eyes fixed on her with desperate intensity. Hunters, it managed to communicate. Must, warn. Before it could finish, the ship's entire structure shuddered. Marcus checked his handheld scanner and swore. Cap, we've got company. Large vessel just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. Sarah looked at the injured alien, then at her crew, and made another decision. We're not leaving you behind. Maya, can we move them? Dr. Patel was already preparing a portable stasis field. If we're careful, yes. Marcus, get back to the shuttle and prep for emergency departure. Maya and I will bring our new friend. She turned back to the alien, whose silver eyes hadn't left her face. We're taking you somewhere safe. Do you understand? The alien's crystals pulsed once in what she hoped was agreement. As they carefully lifted the being, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this rescue mission was just the beginning of something much bigger. Humanity's first contact was happening in the most unexpected way, not through diplomats or scientists, but through a salvage crew who simply couldn't ignore a call for help. They were about to learn that sometimes, the most human thing you can do is help someone who isn't human at all. The medical bay of the Second Chance hummed with unfamiliar energy as Dr. Maya Patel studied the readings on her holographic display. Their alien passenger, now resting in a modified stasis pod, had been aboard for 6 hours. The crystalline formations across their body pulsed in steady rhythms that Maya was beginning to recognize as vital signs. The stasis field is barely containing the energy readings, Maya reported as Captain Chen entered the medical bay. Whatever powers their biological functions, it's like nothing we've ever encountered. Sarah studied their unconscious guest. In the ship's lighting, the alien's iridescent scales shifted colors like oil on water. Have you figured out how they communicate? The crystals seem to act as both biological and technological interfaces. Maya gestured to a pattern of energy waves on her screen. They generate quantum-level vibrations that somehow translate into comprehensible speech. It's incredible, they're literally speaking through subatomic frequencies. A soft chime from the stasis pod drew their attention. The alien's 4 silver eyes opened slowly, all focusing on Sarah. The crystals began to pulse, and this time the translation came through clearer. You saved me, why? Sarah stepped closer to the pod. Because you needed help. I'm Sarah Chen. You're aboard my salvage ship, the Second Chance. The alien's crystals flickered in what might have been understanding. I am, the closest translation would be, resonant of distant stars. My people are the harmonious. We'll call you Resonant, Sarah said with a smile. Can you tell us what happened to your ship? Resonant's scales darkened slightly. We're explorers. Searching for new civilizations. The hunters found us. They destroy any species that might one day challenge their dominion. Maya's instruments registered a spike in Resonant's vital signs. Try to stay calm, she advised. You're still healing. There is no time for healing. Resonant struggled to sit up. The hunters will have detected your ship. They will come, not just for me, but for your world. My people must be warned, but our communication network, the hunters control it now. Sarah and Maya exchanged glances. Your people don't know about the hunters' attacks? Sarah asked. They strike at our expedition ships first, isolating us. Soon they will launch their main assault. Millions will die, unless... Resonant's voice faded as their energy flagged. Unless what? Sarah pressed gently. Unless we can reach the defense hub. But it's deep in hunter territory now. Impossible. Sarah felt a familiar determination rising in her chest, the same feeling she got when facing a particularly challenging salvage operation. Nothing's impossible. Tell us more about these hunters. Over the next hour, Resonant explained how the hunters had systematically targeted their exploration fleet, using advanced technology to track and destroy their ships one by one. The Harmonious, despite their incredible biological technology, had never developed weapons. Their ships were designed for peace, their technology for creation rather than destruction. Your ship, Resonant observed, crystals pulsing curiously. It is primitive by our standards. But perhaps, the hunters would not detect its approach as easily. Primitive? Marcus had entered the medical bay in time to hear this. He crossed his arms, but there was a glint in his eye. I prefer to call it battle-tested. This ship's held together through asteroid fields and solar storms. And the salvage tech we use to cut through old hulls, Sarah added thoughtfully. It's not elegant, but it works on materials it was never designed for. Resonance crystals brightened. You suggest, using your salvage equipment as weapons? Not weapons, Sarah corrected. Tools. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most advanced one. Maya, how long until Resonant can be moved? Another 12 hours at least. The cellular regeneration is dash. She was cut off by a violent shudder that ran through the ship. Marcus rushed to a nearby console. Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL. Energy signatures match what we saw at the wreck. Sarah's mind raced. The hunters had found them sooner than expected. But as she looked around the medical bay, at her crew and their alien guest, she felt not fear but resolve. The second chance might be primitive, but it was sturdy, adaptable, and crewed by humans who had made careers out of turning one ship's trash into another's treasure. Marcus, get to engineering. Maya, stabilize Resonant for potential combat maneuvers. We're not giving up our guest without a fight. She turned to Resonant, whose silver eyes watched her with an unreadable expression. And you're going to tell us everything you know about hunter ship design. If we're about to face them, we need to know their weaknesses. As her crew sprung into action, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The hunters, it seemed, had never faced humans before. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to use whatever tools they had in ways their creators had never imagined. The second chance was about to live up to its name, not just for Resonant, but possibly for their entire civilization. Red emergency lights pulsed through the corridors of the second chance as Captain Sarah Chen raced to the bridge. The hunter ships had emerged from FTL in an attack formation, their sleek black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Talk to me, Marcus, she called over the ship's comm. What are we working with? 5 ships, Cap, Marcus's voice crackled back. About 3 times our size each. They're running some kind of energy field I've never seen before, it's like they're bending space around themselves. In the medical bay, resonance crystals pulsed urgently as they shared tactical data through the ship's computers. Hunter vessels use quantum displacement drives. They do not truly move through space, they shift between spatial coordinates. Sarah reached the bridge and strapped into the captain's chair, her mind racing. So traditional evasive maneuvers won't work. What about their weapons? Particle lances, resonance-translated voice came through. They will cut through your hull like. I believe your expression is hot knife through butter. Encouraging, Sarah muttered. She studied the tactical display, watching the hunter ships close in. They moved with predatory grace, their formation designed to cut off any escape route. But something about their approach tickled her memory, a salvage operation from years ago, when they'd had to dodge automated defense systems. Marcus, remember that Centauri merchant wreck? The one with the haywire point defense grid? There was a pause, then a laugh of recognition. The maintenance shaft gambit? Cap, you're not serious. Dead serious. Get the salvage clamps ready. Maya, how mobile is our guest? I can get them to the bridge in an emergency pod, but dash. Do it. We're going to need their insights. Sarah's fingers flew over her control panel, plotting a course that looked like pure suicide. Everyone hang on. This is going to get interesting. The hunter ships fired their first warning shot, a lance of purple energy that sizzled past their bow. Sarah waited until she could see the intricate patterns etched into the lead hunter ship's hull, then initiated her plan. All power to forward shields, she commanded. Marcus, salvage clamps on my mark. The second chance plunged straight toward the lead hunter vessel. At the last possible moment, Sarah fired their maneuvering thrusters in a complex pattern. The salvage ship spun on its axis, presenting its heavily reinforced belly, designed to withstand the stress of towing massive wrecks, toward the enemy's weapons. Multiple particle lance impacts. Marcus reported. Shields failing, but the reinforced hull is holding. Maya arrived on the bridge with Resonant in a floating medical pod. The alien's silver eyes widened at their suicidal approach. What are you dash? Now! Sarah shouted. The salvage clamps, massive magnetic grapples designed to latch onto derelict ships, shot out from the second chance's hull. They slammed into the hunter ship's quantum field and sparked with energy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the laws of physics reasserted themselves. The hunter ship's quantum displacement field, designed to shift it through spacetime, met the brutally simple Newtonian physics of the salvage clamps. The resulting feedback cascaded through their systems. Resonance crystals pulsed in amazement as the mighty hunter vessel began to spin out of control, its sophisticated drive systems corrupted by the primitive but powerful magnetic forces. Their quantum field is destabilizing. Resonant translated the readings from their own biological interface. The other ships, they cannot maintain formation without compromising their own fields. Sarah grinned. Just like that Centauri wreck. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Marcus, prepare for Phase 2. The second chance retracted its clamps and dove through the gap in the hunter's formation. Behind them, the lead ship's quantum field collapsed completely, forcing it to revert to conventional propulsion. The other hunter ships scattered to avoid the feedback effect, their perfect formation shattered. They're not used to this, Sarah realized aloud. They're used to enemies trying to match their technology level, trying to fight them on their terms. But we're too primitive for that. Resonance crystals pulsed with what might have been laughter. You intentionally used your technological limitations as an advantage. My people would never have conceived of such a strategy. Humans are good at working with what we have, Maya said, checking Resonance vital signs. We had to survive on Earth. The hunter ships were regrouping, but their formation was looser now, more cautious. They'd expected an easy kill and instead found themselves facing an enemy that didn't play by their rules. They will adapt, Resonant warned. The hunters always adapt. So do we, Sarah replied, already formulating their next move. Marcus, how many spare salvage drones do we have in storage? 6, Cap. You're not thinking. Oh yes, I am. If their quantum fields can't handle our magnetic clamps, let's see how they deal with 6 independently targeted sources of electromagnetic interference. Maya, work with Resonant. I want to know if we can modify those drones to broadcast on the same frequency as their crystals. As her crew rushed to implement her plan, Sarah watched the hunter ships circling warily. Humanity's first interstellar conflict was being fought not with advanced weapons or sophisticated tactics, but with repurposed salvage equipment and the kind of improvisation that came from years of making do with whatever was at hand. And somewhere in the back of her mind, Sarah Chen, salvage captain turned reluctant warship commander, began to wonder if perhaps this was why the hunters were so determined to eliminate potential rivals before they reached the stars. Because once humanity joined the galactic community, the rules of engagement would never be the same again. The salvage drones hung in space like dormant metal spiders, their newly modified transmitters pulsing with borrowed alien frequencies. Inside the second chance's makeshift tactical room, actually the ship's mess hall repurposed with holographic displays, Captain Sarah Chen watched the hunter ships circling their position. The modifications are holding, Maya reported, monitoring resonance crystal frequencies. Each drone is successfully mimicking harmonious communication patterns. Resonant silver eyes tracked the tactical display with growing understanding. The hunters built their tracking systems to detect advanced energy signatures. They never considered that someone would use our biological frequencies as a weapon. Not a weapon, Marcus corrected, fingers dancing across his engineering console. A distraction. If this works, we'll flood their sensors with so many false harmonious signals that they won't know which way to turn. Sarah nodded. And while they're confused, we make our run for the defense hub. Resonant, are you sure you can interface with it once we arrive? The alien's crystals pulsed confidently. The hub was designed to recognize any harmonious biological signature. Once inside, I can broadcast the warning to all our worlds simultaneously. Then let's not keep your people waiting. Sarah opened the ship-wide comm, all hands, this is the captain. Battle stations. The plan was audacious, borderline insane, and exactly the kind of thinking that had kept the Second Chance profitable in the cutthroat salvage business. Each drone was programmed with a different evasive pattern, their movements designed to mimic damaged harmonious ships trying to escape. Launching drones, Marcus announced. Broadcasting, now. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The hunter ship's formation dissolved as their quantum sensors were suddenly overwhelmed with biological signatures identical to their prey. Their sophisticated tracking systems, designed to detect and analyze advanced technology, were thrown into confusion by the primitive drones broadcasting complex organic frequencies. They're splitting up. Maya reported. Each hunter ship is pursuing a different signal. Sarah allowed herself a tight smile. Just like scanner rats in a debris field. Marcus, full power to engines. Plot us a course straight through their scattered formation. The Second Chance surged forward, its sturdy salvage hull now serving as improvised armor. They passed within kilometers of a hunter vessel, close enough to see the confusion in its erratic movements as it tried to determine which signal was real. We're going to need more than clever tricks to reach the defense hub, Resonant warned, their crystals pulsing rapidly. The hub sector will be heavily guarded. I know, Sarah replied, studying the long-range sensors. That's why we're going to use the other things salvage operators are good at, hiding in plain sight. Over the next hour, as they outran their immediate pursuers, Sarah laid out her plan. The Second Chance was a salvage ship, designed to attach itself to much larger vessels and cut through their hulls. With Resonant's knowledge of hunter ship designs and Marcus's expertise with their salvage equipment, they could turn this specialized capability into their greatest advantage. You want to latch onto a hunter ship? Maya asked incredulously. And let them carry us to the hub. In their blind spot, Sarah confirmed. Every ship has one, a point where their own hull interferes with their sensors. Even salvage rats know that. Resonance crystals pulsed thoughtfully. The quantum displacement drive creates a natural sensor shadow directly above their engine housing. But approaching that position will be nearly impossible, Marcus finished. We'd have to match their quantum shifts perfectly, or we'd be torn apart. Sarah turned to her engineer. Could we use our salvage crane's emergency protocols? The ones designed to prevent catastrophic decompression? Marcus's eyes lit up with understanding. The emergency stabilizers, they're designed to compensate for sudden spatial distortions. If we rerouted all power through them, we could surf their quantum wake, Sarah finished. Like riding the pressure wave behind a larger ship. The next few hours were a frenzy of modifications. Marcus converted their main salvage crane into a quantum stabilization array, while Maya worked with Resonant to calculate the precise frequencies needed to mask their presence from hunter sensors. The entire ship was transformed into a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien insight. As they approached their target, a lone hunter patrol ship heading toward the hub, Sarah gathered her crew for one final briefing. What we're attempting has never been done before, she said, looking at each of them in turn. We're going to ride a hostile alien ship through quantum space using modified salvage equipment and hide in a sensor-blind spot that we technically shouldn't even know exists. If we succeed, we save an entire civilization. If we fail. We won't fail, Marcus interrupted firmly. This ship isn't called Second Chance for nothing. Resonance crystals pulsed with what they'd all learned to recognize as emotion. Among my people, we have a saying, the greatest harmonies come from the most unexpected combinations of notes. Your species, you think in ways we never imagined possible. Sarah took her position on the bridge, watching the hunter ship grow larger on their view screen. Then let's show them what humanity can do when we're backed into a corner. Marcus, begin quantum sync. Maya, start broadcasting the masking frequencies. Resonant, guide us in. The Second Chance moved into position, its modified systems humming with power. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, a desperate plan born from the marriage of advanced alien knowledge and human resourcefulness. As they closed with their target, Sarah reflected that perhaps this was humanity's greatest strength, not our technology or our weapons, but our ability to adapt, to improvise, and to find solutions in the most unlikely places. The hunter ship loomed before them, unknowingly about to give them a ride straight into the heart of their territory. The final phase of their mission was about to begin, and with it, the fate of an entire civilization hung in the balance. The defense hub hung in space like a crystalline snowflake, its vast structure reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed almost alive. From their hiding spot in the hunter ship's sensor shadow, the crew of the Second Chance watched patrol vessels move in precise formations around the captured facility. The quantum sync is holding, Marcus whispered, though there was no way the hunters could hear them. But the stabilizers are at their limit. We've got maybe 1 hour before they fail. Sarah nodded, studying the hub's layout through resonance crystal-enhanced sensors. That's all we need. Resonant, where's the access point? The alien's 4 eyes focused on a seemingly unremarkable section of the hub's outer ring. There. A maintenance airlock, designed for harmonious engineering drones. Small enough to avoid regular patrols. And just big enough for a salvage ship's boarding shuttle, Sarah added. Maya, is our guest mobile enough for spacewalking? The emergency suit modifications are complete, Maya confirmed, adjusting the crystalline interfaces they'd grafted onto a spare EVA suit. Resonance crystals can interface with the suit's systems just like they do with their own technology. They waited for a gap in the patrol pattern, then detached from their unwitting carrier with a precisely timed burst from their maneuvering thrusters. The Second Chance drifted silently toward the hub, running dark except for the essential systems keeping them alive. Multiple hunter ships on approach, Marcus reported tensely. They'll pass within 2 kilometers of our position. Sarah held her breath, watching the massive vessels slide past them. Their salvage ship, designed to work with dead vessels and debris, had the lowest energy signature of any active ship in human space. Now that same limitation became their greatest advantage, they were effectively invisible to sensors calibrated to detect advanced technology. They reached the airlock without detection. Sarah, Maya, and Resonant boarded the shuttle while Marcus remained aboard to coordinate their escape. The short flight to the hub's surface was tense, their small craft exposed and vulnerable. The airlock accepted Resonant's biological signature without alarm. Once inside, they found themselves in a corridor that seemed to be grown rather than built, its walls pulsing with the same crystalline patterns as their alien friend. The broadcast center is 3 levels up, Resonant informed them, their crystals interfacing with the hub systems. But the hunters will have guards. They encountered the first patrol at an intersection, 2 beings in sleek armor that seemed to absorb light. Sarah and Maya pressed against the walls as resonance crystals pulsed in a complex pattern. The hub's corridors responded, their crystalline structures briefly becoming transparent and allowing the humans to see the hunters' positions clearly. The hub itself will help us, Resonant explained. It was designed to work in harmony with our biology. They avoided 2 more patrols through similar means, the hub's living architecture responding to resonance commands in ways that left the hunters blind to their presence. Finally, they reached the broadcast center, a vast chamber dominated by a crystalline structure that resembled a blooming flower. The warning must be sent from the central platform, Resonance said, moving toward the structure. But once I begin, the energy signature will alert every hunter in the system. Sarah checked her salvaged plasma cutter, modified to work as an improvised weapon. How long do you need? 3 minutes to interface with the systems, 2 minutes to compose and send the message. You'll have it, Sarah promised. She turned to Maya. Doc, remember that frequency we used to scramble their quantum fields? Think you can broadcast it through the hub's own systems? Maya's eyes lit up with understanding. If we can access the hub's communication array, we could blast it through every crystal in the structure. The feedback would disable their quantum tech completely. Do it, Sarah ordered. Resonant, begin your broadcast. Maya, prepare the frequency. I'll watch the door. The next 5 minutes were the longest of Sarah's life. She heard resonance crystals humming in harmony with the hub systems, felt the vibrations as Maya reprogrammed crystalline pathways to carry their defensive frequency. The first hunter patrol reached their position with 2 minutes remaining. Sarah's modified plasma cutter proved surprisingly effective against hunter armor, the salvage tool's crude but powerful beam overwhelming their sophisticated energy shielding through sheer brute force. But more patrols were coming. 1 minute. Resonant called out. The hub's corridors began to fill with hunter reinforcements. Sarah and Maya held their position at the chamber entrance, using their knowledge of salvage operations to identify and target weak points in the hunter's supposedly superior technology. 30 seconds. A particle lance blast grazed Sarah's shoulder, but she maintained her position. Behind her, she could hear the rising pitch of resonance broadcast reaching its crescendo. Message sent. Resonant announced triumphantly. Maya, now. The hub's entire crystalline structure lit up at once, broadcasting their disruption frequency at full power. Every hunter weapon and drive system within range went dark instantly, their quantum technology overwhelmed by the combination of harmonious biology and human ingenuity. The reaction from across the galaxy was immediate. Harmonious ships, warned of the threat and given the frequency to disable hunter technology, began appearing in massive numbers. The hunters found themselves trapped, their technological advantage neutralized by the very primitives they had dismissed as unworthy. Hours later, standing on the hub's observation deck with her crew and their alien friend, Sarah watched harmonious ships secure the facility. Emergency medical ships had already arrived to treat the injured, including her wounded shoulder. My people owe humanity a debt we can never repay, Resonant said, their crystals pulsing with emotion. You saved not just me, but our entire civilization. We just did what humans do, Sarah replied modestly. We adapted, improvised, and used whatever tools we had available. Perhaps that is what makes your species so remarkable, Resonant observed. You prove that true advancement lies not in the sophistication of one's technology, but in the wisdom to use what one has in unexpected ways. As if to emphasize this point, a salvage drone drifted past the window, still broadcasting its modified harmonious frequencies. The simple machine had played a crucial role in a conflict that would reshape galactic politics. The Harmonious Council wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth, Resonant continued. They believe our peoples have much to learn from each other. Sarah smiled, thinking of all the possibilities this new partnership could bring. I think they're right. After all, sometimes the best solutions come from combining different perspectives, like a salvage ship and an alien crystal matrix. Or like a human and a harmonious working together, Resonant added, their crystals glowing warmly. The second chance had lived up to its name in ways Sarah could never have imagined when she first took command. A simple salvage operation had turned into humanity's first step onto the galactic stage, proving that sometimes the most primitive solution could overcome the most advanced threat, if wielded with human ingenuity and determination. As she watched harmonious ships beginning the work of securing their reclaimed hub, Sarah Chen reflected that perhaps this was what humanity had to offer the galaxy, not advanced technology or sophisticated weapons, but the creativity to use whatever tools were at hand, the adaptability to face any challenge, and the compassion to help those in need, regardless of their origin. The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of new possibilities and promising adventures. Humanity had earned its place among them not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the simple act of helping someone in need, and in doing so, had changed the course of galactic history forever.